most of the leaders and managers, even within my organization, especially when they're new, they are not good at delegating tasks or delegating the projects to the performers. How can one delegate effectively? Do you have any framework for that?
Yes, and when you're talking about delegation, you're talking about setting expectations. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people do this, especially if your manager was doing the job before. If you have IT folks here, you have people who are programmers and managers of programmers probably. So they like to program. That's the work they like to do, they're going to keep doing it. What you're asking them to do is, I need you to be doing other things. I need you to be thinking about strategy. I need you to be thinking about resources. So how do I get somebody to stop doing, have the confidence to stop doing what they were doing and give it to somebody else? So one is setting the expectations on that person that this task that I'm giving you, I don't expect to see you doing this. And so following up and observing that. The other is giving them the skills to be able to delegate, set expectations. And as you might figure out, I have a framework for doing each of the setting expectations, providing support, and giving feedback. And when you're setting expectations, what we teach people to do is first talk about the goal. That means they have to understand the goal. Talk about second, you need to talk about the benefits of doing this work, that there's value in here, it's part of the purpose. Then we can talk about sort of the actions. What do you need to do? And the last piece, after we figure out the action plan and what it takes to get it done, then I ask the question, are there any obstacles in the way of you getting this work done? And that's the conversation we have. The first one is around goals. The second one is around benefits, and that's me maybe sharing that and having some dialogue. The dialogue really goes on around how we're going to get it done, and it goes on around obstacles, because then we come out, and that's how you delegate. But there are, and I'll add here, there are 3 principles for when you set expectations or you have one of these performance conversations. And the first principle is that it's a two-way conversation. So this is what I train managers in, that you really want to hear from the people who work for you. And everybody, you ask why is that important? They all know why. You know, it gives ownership, it gets them to share their ideas. I learn more as a manager. So it's a two-way conversation. The second principle is I'm interested in certainly the organization's goals, and that's usually what we talk about. But part of this conversation, or at least what I'm, as a manager, talking about is the goals of the individual as well. The goals and interests of the individual as well as the organization. That's the second principle. Because unless I get, and everything I give somebody won't have a benefit to them particularly, but will to the organization. But I don't want to lose sight of the individual, their needs. And the last piece of these conversations is to remain goal-focused. So that's the harder part. The first are the soft parts, the first and second are soft, the third one is hard. We're having a meeting around delegating this piece of work to you, and no matter what else is on your mind, before we leave this meeting, this is going to be done. We're going to know what that delegation is. So there's a framework for doing these and guiding principles, which are sort of the values that we bring to this work.